Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Your YouTube channel shit.
It's new.
Cool.
Join if you want. I'm gonna be interviewing my boyfriend, Tom. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm Shan's boyfriend.
I'm gonna be chatting to Tom today about midlife, what it's been like for us, and our relationship. And yeah, and if you're interested in studying med, it might give you some insight as to what the journey's like ahead of you. My first question is, why did you study medicine and want to become a doctor?
So yeah, I'm Tom. I'm a 5th year placed at Middlemore this year. For me, it was less, it was less miraculous. It was more standard of just being good in the right subjects in high school. And when you get to year 12 or whenever that starts and you see a career person at your high school, doctor was coming up. And I did have an interest in it, and I guess you start thinking about it when you're in year 11. It was just always on my shortlist. Always on my shortlist and never fell off it.
But I think you decided to study the right subjects to start heading into wanting to get uni entrance for medicine.
To a degree. That was a part of maybe why I chose to do bio in year 13. But other than that, I was studying the subjects I liked to study.
Okay.
Or was good at. And if you like studying physics and chemistry and bio and whatnot, the theory was that you would like studying medicine, which so far is a correct theory.
Okay. So when it came to choosing a university, why did you end up choosing Auckland University over Otago University?
There was multiple reasons, and there's always multiple reasons. One of them being that I was obviously dating Shan, and she was looking more into a business degree. The options there were probably better in Auckland, which makes sense. I liked the idea of moving around. Once you're in 4th, 5th and 6th year, you go to different hospitals versus just being in the one hospital for all three. For both degrees are very similar. You do 1 year of highly competitive first year med and then hope to get in. And then if you do get in, your 2nd and 3rd year are preclinical. They're standard, similar. They're most similar to a normal university degree where you're just attending lectures and sitting exams. But then once you get to 4th, 5th and 6th year, you're in the hospitals the whole time. You're assessed in various different ways, but you'll learn, and you do have occasional lectures, but the majority of your time is just spent in hospitals.
I think also we had friends and family, and we're from the North Island, so
Friends and family, North Island.
it would have been a big move to go down south. And also, it's freaking cold in Otago, and we like the warmth up in the North Island, if you can call it that.
For sure. Oh, well, heck,
Auckland's pretty tropical.
Auckland's tropical.
So my next question for you, Thomas, is, has studying med met your initial expectations, and what surprised you?
The long answer is yes, and then no, and then yes again. Once you get in, and for the majority of 2nd year, I really enjoyed it. It continued being harder, but then the monotony of the relentless hard work during 2nd and 3rd year definitely wore down on me, and I didn't enjoy it anymore. But then once I got into 4th year, it reignited again. I really enjoyed it. And really doing 4th, 5th and 6th, which is clinical, which is as close to a doctor as you can get, because you are following a doctor around. That's exactly what my expectations were, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I expected.
Would you say that the first year of med school was a lot harder than you thought it was going to be?
The first year of getting into med school, so 2nd year, yes. Everyone knows and everyone hypes up first year as being hard, and it's hyper competitive. And so that was exactly as hard as expected. Then once you get in, you have to you think you've worked the hardest you'll ever work in that first year to get into medicine, and then you need to take it another step up.
What year so far has been the hardest?
Well, this isn't going to be true for everyone, but for me it was third year, because that was at the lowest in terms of my emotional and motivational peaks and valleys. Although the content and what knowledge is expected of me is more now as a fifth year, just keeping that going in third year was the toughest, because you're over it by then. You haven't spent more than 6 hours in a hospital total, and you for me, I lost the motivation, and I started to doubt if I was going to enjoy this kind of stuff in a practical sense, because I wasn't enjoying it in a theoretical lecture sense.
What has been the most interesting thing you've learned so far, or that you've done so far?
There's a few most, hallmarkish moments, and they've all happened since I've started being in the hospital. For me, they're experiences that I had on general surgery, or in opportunities that I got to scrub in and do something practical and have an effect on someone's outcome beyond just taking their history and then relaying their history to a senior doctor.
What are 3 med student stereotypes that are actually true?
Everyone who gets into med, is a big nerd. You can't get into med without being a big nerd.
I also feel like these big nerds are also like the elite people of New Zealand. They seem to be smart, athletic, good looking.
Yeah.
Sociable, like everything.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because the medical knowledge is only half of it. People skills and intuition and all this kind of abstract stuff is really what makes good doctors, and you can kind of see it forming already in some of my fellow students.
But what's the best one that you've enjoyed so far?
I started the year off in haematology, and that may have just being in a hospital might have given me rose-tinted glasses, but I quite liked haematology out of the blue as well, because I hated that area of study in the preclinical years. But haematology was really, really enjoyable. It was really interesting. But the one that's kind of stuck with me the most is probably general surgery. I've had 2 surgical runs in fourth year. You have general surgery and you have orthopedics. And again, could have been tinted. No one has a clinically equivalent experience because I had a really good team. Later in the year, a consultant told me that when you're picking what you want to do, you have to enjoy the bread and butter of it. And I was looking at what the registrars and consultants and house officers were doing in general surgery, and I quite liked the look of that, and I got to and what I got to partake in. I really enjoyed the bread and butter of general surgery.
What's it been like balancing your med life, or med/study life, and your social life?
It's been difficult. Can I say that?
Yes, I think it's been difficult.
Good. Next question.
How have you done it though?
Your social circle becomes med students by the nature of things, by the timetables and by the demands of your work, and obviously who you are hanging out with every day. But you can definitely be at risk of not having a decent social life, and some students still are like that in fifth year. They still haven't managed to get that balance yet. But I think, for me it's been important to keep my non-medical friends around, keep hanging out with them, as well as obviously my medical friends. But it's an important wrinkle to give you perspective, and to just have a different type of fun where you're not just talking about medicine the whole time.
What are your best tips for preparing for a big exam?
With medicine, it's unique that you will be studying for exams, but you are studying the whole time. And maybe it dawns on you later in the 6 years that you aren't just studying to pass a big test, you're studying to have sufficient knowledge when that is in they're not always going to be life or death situations, but those do exist, and when it's an important decision time, you want to know what you should know. A recent thing that I've annoyingly only recently caught on to is that as much as I enjoyed writing handwritten notes, and that was probably good learning at the time, it's impossible to find and reread. So I'm trying to transfer that stuff into digital notes. It's so much easier to get a head around a condition when you have a face for it, when you have had a patient who's had that condition, who's had the symptoms, who's gone through the treatment. So much easier than having it all abstractly up here, not tied down to anything.
Yeah.
Do spend a decent amount of time in hospital so that you can see as much as possible.
So, last question, what would be your ideal speciality that you'd go into at this stage?
Well, if I have to pick now, then it will be general surgery, because that was the run I enjoyed the most. I'm being mindful about not picking, not counting my chickens before they hatch. I haven't experienced the vast majority of medicine already, and you experience it in a different way when you're a TI and then when you're a house officer. So I am going to wait out for that, but if I had to pick, it would be general surgery. Something practical.
Yeah.
I like the solving end of medicine.
Yeah.
I like doing stuff with my hands as well as my brain.
Awesome. Thanks so much for answering all my questions and sharing your thoughts.
Thanks for putting up with me. I know I've got a monotonous voice in an interview setting, and I didn't make it, very hashtaggy or very YouTubey. This isn't a challenge that we can then pass on.
No, but I hope it helps anyone out there who's interested in studying medicine, because I guess these are questions that we might have had looking into your degree. I think from my point of view, it's been quite difficult to be involved with on the outskirts. I've met a lot of friends through Thomas's med degree and med year, which has been wonderful. But I definitely think when we've gotten to this stage when you're having to go to a new hospital every year and you don't really get much of a say, it can be kind of difficult.
Yeah, definitely.
I think what we've decided and what's just been the outcome is just you can make plans to a certain degree, but really they change all the time.
For sure.
So just be ready for your plans to go out the window.
For sure. I may end up graduating and then actually wanting to go into landscaping. That could be a plan.
Awesome, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing more of me and Tom, then hit that subscribe button, stay tuned if you're interested in this content. Thanks very much, bye!
Bye!